What's up, guys? Welcome to This Week in MXA episode number 20, presented to you by O'Neill Racing today. Coming to you from a unique spot. We're at the Pro Circuit headquarters hanging out in the showroom. Right now the showroom's closed down due to COVID, but I'm sitting in the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki pit vehicle, hanging out in here, bringing you This Week in MXA. Starting things off, we got to dive into the topic with Eli Tomac and Kawasaki parting ways after the 2021 Pro Motocross season. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens next with Eli Tomac. After 6 years, 165 races, and 60 wins on the Kawasaki KX250, Eli Tomac is now moving on to a different brand for 2022, and Kawasaki is looking for someone else to fill his place. Typically, we don't see official statements from a top-level rider like Eli Tomac or Kawasaki this early in the year, but the rumors have been so widely spread around that Kawasaki decided to clear the air early, even before the Pro Motocross season. So it's kind of weird to think what it's going to be like under the Kawasaki tent with Eli Tomac and them still having 4 months to go on their relationship before they officially break up. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this outdoor season. Eli Tomac has won 4 out of the last 5 450 A-Main National Championships on the KX450, so it'll be interesting to see how he comes out in the outdoors this year. He didn't get the win last year. Zach Osborne is the one coming in with the #1 plate, so it'll be cool to see what Eli Tomac does, and it'll be really interesting to see where he ends up next year. Everybody's pointing to Eli Tomac going to Star Racing Yamaha. Although that isn't official yet, we are excited to see what happens with that. Next up on the topic list, MXA's Trevor Nelson was out at Glen Helen last Thursday getting a cool raw video with a ton of pros out there practicing and getting ready for the Pro Motocross season. We had guys like Adamson Cirillo, Aaron Plessinger, Eli Tomac, Justin Cooper, Dylan Ferrandis, Colt Nichols, Jarrett Fry, Nate Thrasher, and more spinning laps in that video. You can check it out on our YouTube and our website. It's been almost 2 weeks since the Supercross finale, and typically we'd be preparing for the first round of outdoors only 2 weeks after Supercross, so we'd be going racing right away. This year we have 3 weekends off instead of 1, and personally I like the break that we have, and I haven't heard of any good reasons to complain about it just yet. Injured riders, they have more time to heal. The riders have more time to adjust to the softer suspensions that they have on their motocross bikes, and it's got to be especially nice for a guy like Cooper Webb, who just fought tooth and nail for the 450 Supercross title, got the win, and secured it, and now he gets to take a couple days off before jumping back into outdoor training. And it's especially nice for the rest of the 450 crowd that they have a little more time to get ready and comfortable on their bikes for the outdoor season. So a lot of people in the industry, you know that bikes for Supercross and bikes for motocross are very different, but some people might not know that Supercross bikes, they take a lot stiffer suspension, so the guys have to run a completely different setup for Supercross so the bikes can be able to handle the steep jumps, the hard landings, the whoop sections that they have in tight stadium cross races. Then when they go to the motocross races, they have to be a lot softer suspension, so it's plush, able to work over bumps, braking bumps, acceleration bumps, ruts, so completely different bike setup. And now it's a lot nicer this year. They get 3 weekends, about a whole month in between the series to get ready for the A-Main Nationals. Next up on the topic list, we're super excited to release our 2021 254 stroke shootout video. It just came out. It did come out a little bit later this year than normal because we had to wait till all 7 of the bikes were released. So last year the gas models came out. We had to wait a long time for those ones. Suzuki, they kept telling us they were going to give us bikes, but they kept delaying it another month. So finally we got the Suzuki, we got the gas. We lined them up next to all the other 250 motocross bikes and raced them head to head to get our 250 shootout. Then we released the magazine. It has the full in-depth article. It has all the dyno sheets, everything in there, and we wanted to give that out to our subscribers and the guys that buy the magazines off the newsstands first. Now the video is finally on our website and we're excited to break it apart. In the video we ranked each bike from 7th to 1st, giving the pros and cons on why each one is good and why they're bad, and we also categorized the best budget bike, the best working class bike for durability, the best entry-level bike, and the MXA's 250 Bike of the Year. So you can check out the video on our website and our YouTube channel. While we're here at Pro Circuit doing our interview with Mitch Payton, we had to hit him with some tough questions, talking about Cameron McAdoo and all the things that happened at the Atlanta Supercross. I wanted to get it from his point of view. Mitch is the owner of the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki team. He's been grooming Cameron McAdoo for the last couple of years. He's the one that's invested a lot of time, effort, and money into this. So I was really interested to see from his point of view what it was like to watch Cameron McAdoo go through everything he went through, then line up back again and go racing.
It really happens really fast, you know, like all of a sudden you see something and you're like, okay, so how bad is that? So like then when he's laying there, like, I'm like, shit, like, how bad is that? How bad is it? Get up. And then you could see him move a little bit, so that's positive. And I was really far away. Where he was at the end of the stadium, I was on the grandstand side past the finish down this way. So, like, it's really far down there because the track was so long from end to end. And I'm like, Kyle, did you get over there? Did you get it? Is he okay? Is he okay? Is he getting up? Yeah. They got him up, but he was kind of like standing there and then limping. And I'm like, dude, like maybe he broke his leg or something like that. Or I didn't really know. And the medics took his bike off the top of that because I guess that was what was the scary part. For the reason that they told us later they threw the red flag was because they were afraid, like, if he stood up or the medic was standing up on top of the jump and somebody came up there and hit him, then what if they fell off the side and that was that far down? So they threw the red flag, and then all of a sudden he's like, you know what? I'm like, my leg, it was mostly his leg that took, the worst of the impacts, I guess. He thought he could ride. He wanted to ride. And then he goes back, and then I'm like, I don't think he can ride if you cause a red flag, right? We would all say that's illegal. So then Ian had the rule book on his phone, so he's looking it up real quick, and he says, no, it says if you intentionally cause it. And I'm like, well, he didn't intentionally cause it. So maybe there's a little room there. And then the bike was just mangled, beat up, bent. And, they worked on that, trying to get it straightened out so he could race. And then the asterisk unit guys talked to him and were trying to see if they thought, did you hit your head or not hit your head? They deemed that he was okay. AMA or the FIM guys are in the booth. We're watching them, and they're reading the rule book. And I'm like, oh, they're reading it. And then they said, no, it says he can do it. So, like, he lined up. And then, of course, Cooper and some of the other guys were all bummed out, pissed off or whatever. But I'm like, I was surprised he was, going to line up. And obviously he was beat up, and I applaud that, and it showed a lot of grit, for him to do that. His leg wasn't 100%. Like, it was, he could ride, but he didn't have grip strength. He couldn't hold onto the bike. And, they did therapy as much as they could before the next round. That's one of the things that are tough when you have 3 races in a row. And if somebody goes down and you got to race again, or do you miss one or you miss 2, then if you do, you're out. So, like, it's a really awkward situation. And we're lucky, like in the 450 class, they're lucky that some top runner didn't go through that. Like, if Cooper or Roxon or Eli or some of those guys would have went down and then lost a couple of races, that's 50 points. So then you're like, it's probably not a good idea. But with the situation at hand, Fell did an awesome job. It wasn't too bad. I mean, like, starting the season, obviously, we had a lot of expectations for Austin because he's won races the past couple of years. So we thought that would be a natural, easier thing. We did have a new bike, which took a while to get everybody comfortable with. But then Austin was out, and Joe came in and probably in the beginning was a little hesitant and a little conservative. But as the year went on, he kept rising, like doing better and better. His qualifying was better, his heat race and all that stuff. And then he was able to win a race and was pressured even during that race. So, like, that was pretty exciting. It was really cool to see Hammaker get an event win also, first year in the class. So that was great. Cameron won an event and then, had the red plate for a while until Devious Atlanta reared its head. But overall, we got 3 of the 4-1 races, and they'll be here next year. And hopefully with Austin back, that should be a really, really good team. For us, there was a lot of parts because we have a new chassis. You've got a lot of little pieces, but a big part of it was, this was the electric start engine. So the transmission is different. We don't have a transmission built that fits it. Crank was different. The rod was longer. Everything in the motor was different this year. So with those changes, there was a lot of improvements to the bike, but we didn't have anything else to stick in it. So with the amount of time it took to get parts built, all the vendors that we used have all been, kind of all behind. So, like, we were barely able to get, I think it was 8 or 10 engines together before the first round, where normally we have enough stuff for them to have, the exact motor in their practice bike and all that stuff. And that wasn't going to happen.
So they're riding on different practice bikes compared to the race bike?
Spec-wise, yeah.
Really?
Yep.
How different do you think?
Enough where obviously they wouldn't prefer to do it, and I would prefer to not do that to them, but if you don't have the parts, you don't have the parts. I would say a normal year, it would be nice to have probably 10 or 12 practice engines and 10 or 12 race engines, and then they go in rotation. You're a rider, so you should understand anything a little bit foreign can get in your head, and you're like, hey, this thing's heavier, it feels heavier in the turning and all that stuff. So was it the battery, or was it just a little heavier overall, or was it the chassis or whatever? But it took a little bit to get our hands around the thing to where they really felt comfortable with it. But a lot of that was because we rode the old chassis for like 2 or 3 years solid, and they were just kind of dialed in on the old chassis. So change sometimes is difficult, but it was something like we had to do it. The new bike was different. Yeah, there was a period, obviously, even we were kind of shut down for, I guess I would say 8 weeks, that we were working, but like everything was just lights out, like it was quiet. Obviously, it had already started in Europe, so in England where, Renthal is from, we get transmissions from over there. There's other parts we get from Europe, and a lot of those countries were closed, and they were locked up, people home doing nothing. And then over here, you had the period of time where it was locked up, closed for a bit, and then it started to open up and go crazy. By that point, a lot of machine shops had lost employees, had to furlough them, let them go, and some of them decided to stay at home, and some had got another job. And the rebuilding of everything has been probably the gnarliest part for a lot of the people that we deal with and ourselves as a company. And obviously the business part of it is really good. There was an explosion of new people to the market, whether it was just little mini bikes or dirt bikes in general. Like you go to a dealership and they don't have anything on the showroom, whether it's side-by-sides, mini bikes, trail bikes, race bikes, anything. Everything's just sold out. So it's a great time. And we should have like what I said, I think we're on the cusp of having, I hope, 4 or 5 years of growth, because of this. So it'll be a little bit dependent when stick and ball sports come back if we lose some of the kids that we got. But if we can keep 40 or 30% of those, that's 30 or 40% increase from where we were. So that's massive. Austin has always been a good outdoor rider, so he should be able to pick it up where he left off, I hope. But it has been 2 years, so he has a little homework to do. And then the other guys, I've seen them all ride well outdoors, so I think we should be good. But I expect there to be other good guys. The Star guys will be good. The Lawrence boys will be good. Neither class will be a cakewalk.
All right, guys. So that's it for this week in MXA, episode number 20, presented to you by O'Neill Racing. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, leave a comment down below on our YouTube channel. Let us know what you thought about this video. Let us know what you think about Mitch Payton and what you learned here in his perspective on the 2021 Supercross season. And after this video, make sure to check out our 250 Shootout video if you haven't seen it yet already. See where your favorite bike landed in our rankings and see which bikes we liked, why we liked them, and why we didn't like them at the same time. That's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the Motocross Action YouTube channel and click the notification button so you get an update every time we post a new video. Check out motocrossactionmag.com for all of our latest news, reviews, bike tests, interviews, product tests, race results, and more.